I am Thomas Gosner from Bolzano, Italy. I am racing in Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell together with my daughters. As you can see, Ferrari Challenge is not only racing, but you have many opportunities to visit cities, to see cultures and history, like the castle of Imola, for example. That's what I like, but even I like racing with my daughters and fighting with my friends on the track. But at the end, we are a big family in Ferrari, and we have all together big fun. Very happy for this pole position, and many thanks to all the team what helped me to do that, and I like very much Imola. It's one of my favorite circuits.
turn, and look how von Skeltermayer is really pushing him through and putting the pressure on Tanny Hanna now. The Netherlands racer. It's going to be a drag race down to the bottom now, but von Skeltermayer has put himself ahead. So von Skeltermayer moves from P3 to P2, and can't help but feel that the pressure he placed on Tanny Hanna forced Tanny Hanna into making an error. And that's precisely what you want to do with regards to chasing down someone. Try and get them just to put a foot wrong. Whilst, of course, all that is going on, it's great news for Thomas Gössner, because, of course, he's able to escape up the road by some 1.5 seconds. Here's where Fons was really pushing, and there you can see Tanny, his exit was out of kilter because of the pressure. And in replay here, the start, as they all went towards the line, René Gössner perhaps just a little to the right-hand side, and Ernst Kirchmayr certainly was, and I wonder whether it's Ernst Kirchmayr that's really being looked at from that start, because you're supposed to stay to a degree in line, and Christian Kinch, I think he was going for an overtake even before they crossed the line, so that will all be looked at by the race stewards, which is why the start is under investigation. All the drivers, of course, champing at the bit as the light goes green. And here we can see from a different angle there, looking backwards. On board, the rearward facing camera, lots of onboard shots that we can bring you during the course of the program. And Thomas Gössner's lead is being brought down somewhat by the hard charging von Skeltermayer, who's on a mission here. He's moved himself up into P2, was 1.1 seconds down on Thomas Gössner. So Thomas then into Variante 1, double apex, this Variante, this Rivazza turn, beg your pardon. So Rivazza 1, Rivazza 2, Ernst Kirchmayr getting a bit closer to Tanny Hanna. Now let's get a live gap between the two of them. It was 1.1, well, it's come down by 13/100ths. But Thomas Gössner doing a good job then in seeing off von Skeltermayer at the moment. Skeltermayer's last lap was marginally quicker. So Gössner from Skeltermayer, from Hanna, from Kirchmayr. Then it's Ferrano and Andreas Segler. And having dropped out of the order is, according to those standings on screen, is Agata Smolka. No, I'm looking at the shell only. That's the reason for that. Agata Smolka is still in P6 overall, but is P1 within class. That was the mistake from Tanny Hanna, being pushed by von Skeltermayer, not literally, but in terms of pressure, and that was enough for von Skeltermayer to go through and pick up that P2 place. Here are the standings in the AM. Confirmation then, Agata Smolka leads from Henrik Janssen and Ingvar Madsen, then it's Henrik Kamstrup, Laurent Demers and Alexander Nussbaumer, the top 6 in the AM standings currently. So two classes racing together, the Shell drivers and the AM drivers. And von Skeltermayer, for my money, looks closer now to Thomas Gössner than he was last time around. So von Skeltermayer is, and Thomas Gössner in the back end of the car just looked a little bit wayward then. As they head under the bridge now and begin this downhill drop. Von Skeltermayer very, very keen on the brakes, really up close to the back of the Thomas Gössner car, and as predicted, Ernst Kirchmayr was being looked at by race control, and he gets a drive-through penalty for having jumped the start. So unfortunately, Ernst Kirchmayr, for all his good efforts in terms of being in P4 now in that car, the yellow and black machine, he has got a drive-through penalty. There's Agi Smolka then. And Agi now being chased down by Henrik Janssen. So Agi doing a level best to hold on to this P1 position for the AM class. The lady racer from Rosso Corsa, who had her issues during free practice and wasn't absolutely able to put her best lap together in qualifying, but we're on board with her now. She's being pressed and pressured by Henrik Janssen. They are just a few tenths apart, and Thomas Gössner continues to feel the pressure, of course, of von Skeltermayer in this fight for P1. There's just 3 tenths between them now. So the 161 car of Thomas Gosner that's leading the race overall and certainly leading in terms of Shell drivers, but von Skeltermaar wants to do something about that. 3.5 tenths is all but that is between the two of them. A real fight between these two for the lead of the race overall, as Fons just takes a look and perhaps not quite close enough to be able to dive to the inside of Thomas Gosner, but now he looks to the outside. So Gosner is under pressure here, and Fons is continuing now this drop downhill. Is he going to be able to have a go? Perhaps going into Ravazza 1 or 2. Gets as close as he dares. Thomas runs a very, very tight line through there. Fons is not able to get to the inside, carrying a lot of speed. Now the straight that isn't a straight, the home straight, with 2 kinks in it, and this is where the traction from Gosner seems to be just slightly superior to that of Fons. He's able to get on the power a bit earlier. And there you can see Fons taking a look at the inside, but he's not close enough as they go into Variante Tamburello. And through they go. And for the moment, Thomas is able to hold on to that, as that is a car in the barriers. I think that's the 172 car of Giuseppe Romelli. Yes, it is. As the smoke clears, you can see that Giuseppe Romelli has had quite a big one, and he has gone in on various bits. That looks like what once was a door mirror on the car of Giuseppe Romelli. Thankfully, the integral safety of the 488 cars means that the driver is out and is perfectly okay and walks away. But it does mean that the safety car is going to be deployed, which if anyone is rubbing their hands with invisible soap to say thanks very much, it's probably von Skeltermaar. This was Agata Smolka being passed by Henrik Janssen. Fairness, that was a textbook move by Janssen. No touch between the two of them. He did a great job. So Janssen now is ahead of Agata Smolka, who's also dropped down behind Andreas Segler. So Beppe Scanetti, I believe, is driving the safety car this weekend, and might be Eric Prinot. I'm just trying to peer into the windscreen of the Hublot safety car. Actually, it might well be Beppe Scanetti. So there is our race leader, Thomas Gosner, who of course has slowed now and will be picked up by the safety car. And that plays into the hands, in my opinion. Now, Ernst Kirchmayr needs to come into the pit lane. And he does it. Because once you've been given a drive-through penalty, you only get 3-lap award. Now this is the connection there. So that's Dusan Palkra. Is it in the 117 car? Yes, it is. So, well, it looked like Dusan was almost... He was alongside, but not fully alongside. And that effectively had a spin-out situation on Giuseppe Romelli. Now, Ernst Kirchmayr, of course, taking his drive-through penalty during the safety car phase means that he's actually going to benefit from that, because he's going to be able to come out and pick up on the back of the crocodile behind the safety car. Clearly, he's not going to be able to overtake, but he's going to be in a very good position with those 25 cars ahead of him to make some hay at the end of the safety car period. The safety car stays out for the moment. And the order then in AM is Henrik Janssen, Agata Smolka, and Ingvar Madsen. And the order in terms of the Shell drivers is Gosner, Skeltermaar, and Anna. In terms of time, we've got just under 18 minutes of the race remaining, and the lights stay on the safety car. There, the standings to the left-hand side of your screen. If it has a yellow stripe through it, it means they're a Shell driver. If it has a black stripe through it, it means they are an AM driver. Henrik Janssen moving up 6 places, just trying to identify who was doing good jobs. Eric Chung, who's running in P13, had moved up 7 places. And of course the drivers, you can see there, Fons is definitely weaving from side to side to try and keep temperature into the tyres. Now this looks like Giuseppe Romelli, so I need to take back what I said about the battle that it was going on with Dusan Palkra, because that actually, I think, came before the incident we've just seen with Giuseppe Romelli running into the tyre barriers there. Now, whether that was as a consequence of the contact between the two of them, which incidentally is now being looked at and is under investigation, whether perhaps something broke on the Giuseppe Romelli car, don't know. There is Corinna Gosner, who has come back from last to P21 and P13 in class. You'll recall she was out on the gravel, so she's done a good job in terms of wrestling her way back up the order to P13 in class. And the safety car is coming in and has gone in, and we go back to green. And to be fair to Thomas Gosner, he's done a good job of that safety car restart. Caught us a bit by surprise, to be honest, that the safety car was coming in, so a late decision to bring that safety car in. And von Skeltermar ups the ante now in trying to pressure Thomas Gosner. Has he maintained temperature in his tyres better than Thomas Gosner? Is that going to give him just a little bit of a margin? So we reach the second phase of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. Thomas Gosner, P1, von Skeltermar, P2, Tanny Hanna, P3, and around has gone the 110 car of Charles Rupp, and that's side on, thankfully, well avoided by everybody else. So Charles Rupp, thankfully, not being collected by anybody. And a good, very good avoidance there. Unfortunately, all the good work done. Well, in fairness, I think Charles Rupp was really rather pushed into that, wasn't he? You can see from that angle, and Corinna Gosner getting caught out and unfortunately losing a place in trying to avoid making contact with the Charles Rupp car. Here comes von Skeltermar. Again, just making sure that Thomas Gosner's rearview mirror is full of the shark's teeth. Von's desperately trying to bite at that car ahead, but currently Thomas Gosner doing a very good job in defense. Now, just seeing on our screen another mention of the drive-through penalty for 109, which is Ernst Kirschmeier, which I'm assuming is a repeat of the earlier message, or whether he actually overtook before the safety car, and just wondering whether his penalty could legally be taken under the safety car as well. So, which means he's going to have to come in and do it all over again, potentially. So I think that's the reason behind that. He shouldn't have taken his drive-through penalty during the safety car phase, and therefore he's going to have to take it all over again. So what advantage he thought he'd gained is lost. In the meantime, with Murat Kuhadaroglu and Ingvar Matsson trailing smoke from the gravel, we go back to the lead at the front, which is still being held by Thomas Gosner. Von Skeltermar has set the fastest lap, a 1:47.856. And whatever Gosner does, at the moment, it's enough to keep von Skeltermar behind. The gap is 4.5 tenths, as you can see, the live gap as they climb uphill now. Fons is closer. So he dives to the outside of Thomas Gosner. Will he try and get the switch back now and go to the inside? No, he won't. Through that chicane they go, and you can see he is all over the back of the Thomas Gosner car, but it's not enough for him. Long drag down now towards the Ravazza turns. Both Thomas and Fons break now into the first part of Ravazza. And then this is where Thomas Gosner seems to be able to put power down marginally better than Fons. Or certainly that's been the case on the previous laps. Just opens up a gap a little bit to von Skeltermar as they head towards turns 2, 3, and 4, the Variante Tamburello. There's our leader in AM, and that is Henrik Janssen. Agatha Smolka is P2 in AMS, and Ingvar Matsson P3. Von Skeltermar has lost out here because Tanny Hanna has gone by. Hope I'll get a replay of that because I didn't quite see what happened there, whether Fons has got a fault or a problem with his car, because he's under pressure also now from the 156 car. And Fons all over the place now, whether he's got a puncture Don't know what has happened to that car, trying to see if there's a deflated tyre on that 488. But he has dropped down the order, and Henrik Jansen is the next then. I don't think it is a puncture because the pace he's got is sufficient. So von Skelterma, who was challenging for the lead, has now dropped back to what is P4. And he's still, as you can see, he's been able to break away a bit from Henrik Jansen, who of course is under pressure from Andreas Segler in any event, although they're out of class because Andreas Segler is a shell driver. So von Skelterma with his ill-handling 488, who was, let's take a look now. Well, he carried so much speed into that chicane, then made a little bit of contact with Tanny Hanna. That perhaps played into the hands just a little bit of the 156 car of John Ferrano. And there you can see Ronnie Kessel from the Kessel team looking on. So Fons finds himself in a non-podium position at the moment. And of course it's all played into the hands of Thomas Gosner, who now with 10.5 minutes remaining has got a gap of some 2.2 seconds on Tanny Hanna. So it was an over-ambitious attempt perhaps by von Skelterma to put himself by Thomas Gosner that caused the problems. And the restart is under investigation, I'm told now. And there you can see confirmation of that on the screen. Here come P1, P2 and P3 then, and the shark's teeth of von Skelterma into P4. It's Henrik Jansen, Agatha Smolker and Ingvar Madsen, still the 1, 2, 3 in the AM classification, ahead of Henrik Kamstrup and Laurent Demers and Alexander Nussbaumer. So Thomas Gosner climbs the 488 now up the hill, and around has gone Tommy Lindroth. So Tommy Lindroth has gone around but manages to get the car pointing back in the right direction. Again, the Baron Motorsport driver. Tommy Lindroth, now was he pushed into that, or was that an error? Well, a replay may tell us that, but right now he's being chased by the 166 car of Roberto Carva. Well, in fairness, there was no mistake there from Tommy. It looked like Roberto Carva just dived to the inside of Tommy Lindroth in a daredevil move, which certainly didn't pay off and harmed Tommy Lindroth. So probably that will be looked at. In fact, the stewards this afternoon being supported and assisted by official Ferrari GT driver Giancarlo Fisichella will be looking at that. Top speed through the speed trap for Thomas Gosner, then 265 kilometers per hour. It is Gosner from Hanna from Ferrano ahead of, those are the Shell 1, 2, 3. And it's Henrik Jansen, Agatha Smolker, and Ingvar Madsen, the 1, 2, 3 in terms of the AM drivers. So 3 seconds. I think the reason Tanny Hanna is not able to get on terms with Thomas Gosner is because Tanny Hanna's defending that P2 place now from John Ferrano. So John Ferrano is right on the back of Tanny Hanna, so it's a fight for P2 in the race that is just playing into the hands of Thomas Gosner and allowing Thomas to get up the road. Did all the hard work, of course, in qualifying and put the car P1. He was under pressure as Ernst Kirchmeier does come in to serve his drive-through penalty now, because presumably the sporting regulations, and thanks to Nico alongside me here, unless the driver was already in the pit entry lane, he is not allowed to serve the penalty after a full course yellow or safety car procedure has been deployed. Therefore, it was an illegal move by him to take his drive-through penalty during the safety car. There we go. So he's made 2 trips down the pit lane now and finds himself P25 as Tanny Hanna is feeling the pressure of John Ferrano now. So John Ferrano then returning to the Ferrari Challenge here in Europe, putting the pressure on Tanny Hanna, and Thomas Gosner extends his lead to some 3.2 seconds as off goes Andreas Segler, who's got big problems, and The 1-2-1 car goes around now. He was running in P5 in the race overall. You can see the deflated rear tyre. He's going to be going no further. And also having gone around is Laurent Demers, presumably in avoidance. And that's really, really harmed his chance of a big points haul in this race. So how did, so there is the spinning 1-2-1 car. I see, and it was coming back onto the track and laying loads of gravel down. Presumably, Laurent Demers was either caught out by the gravel that was distributed all over the track, or indeed by the stricken 1-2-1 car that was on the tarmac. So Thomas Gosner continues on his way, untroubled, undaunted by everything that's going on behind. And there is Corinna Gosner, who finds herself in a points-paying position now in P10 in terms of the Shell drivers. Is chasing down Alexander Nussbaumer ahead. Alexander Nussbaumer, of course, in a different category. But the pride of being ahead would be enough motivation, presumably, for Corinna Gosner to try and get by. Meantime, her father doing a good job here. Heading towards the timing line, will get the renewed gap between Thomas Gosner and Tanny Hanna. It was 3.9. It stays at 3.9. Then there's about a second between Tanny Hanna and John Ferrano. Part of the reason for that is John Ferrano now is having to protect that P3 position from Fons Skeltermar. Fons' ambitious move earlier on Tanny Hanna cost him, and he won't be making the same mistake again, but if he can get a podium out of this race, he'll be very happy about that. At the moment he's sitting in that P4 position. And there is David Lim in the 168 car with a bit of sideways driving going on there, and then having to control the slide as the car pirouettes and points in the wrong direction, and that will send him way down the order. Back to our overall race leader, Thomas Gosner, then, with 4.5 minutes on the clock. The gap now between himself and Tanny Hanna is up to 4.2 seconds. This could be a Leitster flag victory for Thomas Gosner. And a very good return to the Ferrari challenge for the Bolzano-based driver. Car performing perfectly. 4.6 seconds to the good over Tanny Hanna. John Ferrano and Fons Skeltermar are split by just 4/10. And that's the real fight that's going on. It's the fight for P3. Corinna Gosner then has managed to get past not only Ingvar Madsen, but not only Alexander Nussbaumer, I was going to say, but Ingvar Madsen as well. Here's Tanny Hanna, then it's John Ferrano, and then it's Fons Skeltermar. So with 3.5 minutes remaining, what can Fons find now? Well, John has stepped up his attack on Tanny Hanna in the closing stages of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. Through Tamburello they go, and Tanny Hanna, who of course had pushed Thomas Gosner really hard at the start of the race, may be feeling the effects of some tyre deg now, because he fought so hard at the start of the race. As Murat Kuhadaroglu has gone around, we've had a number of drivers pointing in the wrong direction this afternoon, and Murat is one of those. Does manage to get the car pointing in the right direction once again. Ferrano just with a little error there allows Fons Skeltermar to get just a bit closer, as Ingvar Madsen has had to bring his car into the pit lane. That's taken him out of that P3 position in terms of the AM drivers. So it's not going to be a podium for him, but will elevate Alexander Nussbaumer, I think, into P3 in the AMs. So here's how Murat Kuhadaroglu lost, just dropped a wheel onto the grass in his chase after Eric Chung, and that was enough to spit the car, the back end of the car out, and around he went. Look at this three-way fight going on now for P2. Tanny Hanna, John Ferrano, Fons Skeltermar. So they run downhill now. Who's going to be king of the late breakers here? John Ferrano tries. And now takes a look at the inside of Tani Hanna. He's got to be very aware of the fact that he's got von Skelterma right on him as well. So just 2 more laps to complete in this race as von Skelterma now tries to track John Ferrano. Not quite close enough. Well, final lap, so we're actually only going to do 1 more lap. It was very, very close as the cars crossed the timing line in terms of the time left. But the clock had counted down to the point where we would only get 1 more lap in. So it's now or never for von Skelterma to try and wrestle back a podium result in this Coppa Shell race. The car that's stopping him achieving a podium is John Ferrano as Fons dives to the inside now. No contact on John Ferrano though. He yielded out of that and thought better of it, but the overtake opportunities are still there. Tani Hanna will probably get away with this. So where is Skelterma going to make his move for P3? Thomas Gostner, well, unbelievably, is some 8 seconds up the road. And Thomas Gostner is already heading towards the final 2 turns before he will see the start-finish straight that isn't a straight. So the brake discs light up. He has 1 more proper turn to do, and then it will be a footfall. And for Thomas Gostner then, by my reckoning, it's his first win of the year on his return to the Ferrari Challenge. He will head towards the checkered flag, which is waved ahead of him. Thomas Gostner wins at Imola, a Leicester flag victory. Who is going to be P2, 3 or 4? Well, it's going to be as it was then, with Tani Hanna ahead of John Ferrano, then von Skelterma. The winner in terms of the AM drivers is going to be Henrik Janssen. Then it will be Agata Smolka. And then it will be Alexander Nussbaumer. Simonchik is out and the car is on fire. You can see the flames at the back. Look at the rear wheel. And sure enough, it is Henrik Janssen, Agata Smolka, and Alexander Nussbaumer, the 1, 2, 3 in terms of the AMs. And Tommy Lindroth and Dusan Palkra continuing their interesting battle that they've had. And I just wonder whether the bodywork rubbing on the back of Dusan Palkra's car was as a result of Tommy Lindroth just extracting a little bit of revenge. I might be wrong. But there we have it. Wow. That was a race and a half with lots of drama for all sorts of reasons. So the winner is Thomas Gostner, who, as I say, had that Leinster flag victory and really didn't seem at all troubled apart from the early laps. Was able to just keep his nose ahead and did a very, very good job. Very creditable performance from Thomas Gostner, who set a blistering lap. Von Skelterma, of course, he'll be a little disappointed with P4, but in his quest to try and get the higher up the order, that's what caused him to drop down, but proper fighter, that's for sure. Very quietly, Christian Kinch just going about his job to take 5th in class, and 6th in class was Guy 4. Then it was Eric Chung who took 7th, and their confirmation of the top 3 across both classes. Thomas Gostner, Tani Hanna and John Ferrano ahead of Henrik Janssen, Agata Smolka and Alexander Nussbaumer. So Thomas Gostner and Massimo Pepe there from MP Racing then offering his congratulations. And Manuela Gostner, his daughter, waiting to offer her congratulations to Dad as well. So the celebrations continue down there. Well, you may recall that Thomas had said pre-race he really loves the Imola circuit. His affection will be even greater for it now, I would suggest. Trying to go through the annals of my memory. I'm not sure that he's won a race here at Imola previously. However, that's one for the record books to check. Let's take a look at the highlights then of that Ferrari Challenge race. So the start was a bit scrappy, it has to be said, but a big grid of cars. Thomas Gössner from pole position was always going to have the weight of everyone behind him, but he coped with it really rather well. And unfortunately, his daughter Corinna, with a little side swipe from Ernst Kirchmayr, ended up diving through the gravel. Tanny Hanna was under pressure from von Skeltermar, and that pressure was felt, and he ended up making a mistake. And von Skeltermar was able to go through to pick up P2. There was lots going on elsewhere. Dusan Palcra and Giuseppe Romelli having a coming together here. And unfortunately, a little bit later, Giuseppe Romelli, as you can see, ended up with a very high speed crash into the barriers. The speed trap, though, gravel trap, doing a good job in terms of reducing the speed of that car, and he got out of the car perfectly okay. Von Skeltermar was determined to try and fight back and wrestle a podium place. And he was being hampered because in the end, nothing was going to stop this man from pole position taking the win. Thomas Gössner won in the Shell drivers, and Henrik Janssen would win for the AMS. You can see what a huge advantage he had, some 9.2 seconds for Thomas Gössner at the end of the race. Lots of celebrations going on down there. Confirmation of the classification then. Thomas Gössner taking the win from Tanny Hanna and John Ferrano. This is the Shell Drivers classification. Ahead of von Skeltermar, Christian Kinch, Guy Fort, Eric Chung, Ken Abe. Then it was Corinna Gössner managing to get back to P9 ahead of Murat Kuhadaroglu. Werner Genter, then Tommy Lindroth, Ernst Kirchmayr, and Andreas Segler, and then Charles Rupp, not classified. We'll be bringing you the AM classification in just a few moments, but everyone down there enjoying the Parc Fermé moment and taking a look at the top three in each of the classes. It was a hard, challenging race, that's for sure. Drivers, of course, in Parc Fermé will be hustled off up to the podium. And that's where we will be heading next, up to that podium to enjoy the celebrations. We are tentatively of the opinion that it will be Thomas Gössner's first time on the top step of the podium, his first overall win, we think. Anyway, in terms of the Drivers' Championship, Tanny Hanna on 140 points, Eric Chung on 97, Ernst Kirchmayr has dropped points today, he's on 94, then it's von Skeltermar, James Weiland, who isn't here, Ken Abe, then Christian Kinch, Thomas Gössner, and there you can see the Shell Drivers points situation there. Races.ferrari.com, of course, will have the updated points for you as we take super slow-mos to the top three. First of all, the Shell Drivers, John Ferrano, P3 for him. P2 goes the way of the points leader, Tanny Hanna. Still very valuable points for Tanny. And of course, it is P1, a lights the flag victory. And we think the first overall victory in the Ferrari Challenge for Thomas Gössner.
E siamo prontissimi, ricevo il gol risaltato per questo primo podio, parliamo della Coppa Scelle, terzo classificato, John Ferrari.
So we can hear the drivers being brought out onto the podium. Here comes John Ferrari then taking P3. Tani Hanna takes P2. And on the top step of the podium, a faultless drive from Thomas Gosner. Congratulates Tani Hanna, and we'll do the same with John Ferrari, I'm sure. Massimo Pepe up there on the podium as well. Here's the national anthem. So the podium plays out, and it's time for trophies to be presented to our Shell drivers. Giancarlo Fisichella then making the trophy presentation. The Ferrari GT driver makes P3 trophy presentation to John Ferrari. For P2, it's going to be Tani Hanna. And wait for the cheers then. There they come for Thomas Gosner. So all the photographs taken then. Tani Hanna makes haste his escape. So Thomas Gosner makes sure in time-honoured style he celebrates the race win. Oh, look at Hanna. That was rotten. Snuck off and then came back. Here's confirmation of the AM classification. Then Henrik Janssen from Aggie Smolka from Alexander Nussbaumer. Then it was Henrik Kamstrup and Alex Fox and Weibo and Lim and Carver and Demers and Simonchik. Rounding out the top 10 in terms of the AM classification. Incidentally, that's after penalties have been applied to Laurent Demers and also to Ingvar Mattsson for overtaking before the line. Dusan Palkra, Ingvar Mattsson and Giuseppe Romelli, of course, we saw into the barriers, but thankfully Giuseppe is perfectly okay. Super slow-mos, the top three then. Alexander Nussbaumer, first of all, P3. For P2 then, Aggie Smolka. And fourth win of the season by my reckoning for the Formula Racing driver Henrik Janssen. So here comes the AM podium. Alexander Nussbaumer. There is Agata Smolka. And Henrik Janssen then onto the top step. National anthem to play out for Henrik Janssen. Of course, Formula Racing represented on the podium as well. So the anthem plays out then, and here come the trophy presentations. Once again, Giancarlo Fisichella, who Ferrari GT driver and working as driver's representative on the stewards board this weekend as well. He's one of the fastest trophy presenters you'll ever meet. Dishes them out. Takes a bit more time in receiving them, and he's received plenty in his phenomenal career, has Fisico. Lift your trophy. Time for the champagne to be uncorked then, and Aggie Smolka wins that particular race and wipes the floor with the men. And she'll be pleased to have taken a podium in the Drivers' Championship. It's all closing up nicely, look. Laurent Demers, who's dropped points in this race, 115, just 2 ahead of Agata Smolka. And Henrik Janssen now on 101 points. So the Drivers' Championship in Coppa Shell Am is looking very exciting indeed. There you can see the rest of the points order, including both Mark Fuller and Al Heggie, both American racers. So there we have it then, the Coppa Shell Race 1 done. We have a Trofeo Pirelli race to come, and the red lights indicate at the top of the lighting gantry there that the 30-minute Coppa Shell race done and dusted. Latest points update, of course, available at races.ferrari.com. And, of course, Trofeo Pirelli race still to come. So with the podiums completed, it's been a lights to flag victory and a fairy tale for the driver of the number 161 car, Thomas Gostner, who was untroubled and did a great job in taking the win by a huge margin in the end over Tanny Hanna of some 9.2 seconds. And Henrik Janssen taking the win for the AM drivers within the Shell class as well. So Thomas Gostner, Tanny Hanna, John Ferrano, and then it was Henrik Janssen, Agata Smolka, and Alexander Nussbaumer. So please make sure you join us for the Trofeo Pirelli race to come a little bit later this afternoon. For the moment, from Imola, thank you so much for watching Coppa Shell Race 1. We'll see you a bit later. Bye-bye for now.